I'm Councilmember Andrew Friedson, and I have the privilege of representing Bethesda. We're now celebrating our 150th year, so now we're going to take a step back in time with the Bethesda Historical Society to see what has always made Bethesda such a special place over the years.
My name is Stephanie Rigaud. I'm the Director of Social Media and the Exhibit Director for Bethesda Historical Society. So we've created this exhibit here about the history of Bethesda all the way from its founding in 1861 through the present. We have a lot of different stories that I think a lot of people don't know about, a lot of then and now. Basically what Bethesda was, and why it's not a town, is that it was basically a byway for farms to get their goods from wherever they are in Montgomery County, upper Montgomery County, Frederick, to the Georgetown waterfront.
My mom went to Leland Junior High School, and then it became Leland Community Center where I played basketball growing up.
If they're a person of color, they are happy to see themselves represented because we've tried to tell their stories too. It wasn't until the summer of 1955 that BCC was integrated, so to speak. And what they meant by integrated at that time was one black man was permitted to take a summer school class. In particular, we have the original store counter from the Montgomery County thrift shop. They donated us. Christ Lutheran Church, which is up on Old Georgetown by the fire department. They're about to be torn down for development. We have the photo of the old house they first met in. That is our director's wedding dress because she got it at Claire Drotch, which if you've lived in Bethesda for any period of time or involved in any weddings around here, you know Claire Drotch. It's a women's boutique that's been around forever. We've got a championship from the first decade of MSI when it just began. Soccer was just becoming big in the United States. So that's a 1977 championship jacket from MSI. And one thing I'm personally proud of is I discovered a photo of the house that was the original Darcy's store. And I don't know if a lot of people know that Bethesda used to be called Darcy's Store after the first postmaster, William Darcy.
My understanding of the name change was partially because of the concern that Darcy's store sold alcohol. Is that true?
I don't think so. He wasn't a tavern keeper. I don't think that's right. From 1851 through 1861, that was his reign as postmaster. Before that, it really didn't even have a name until they got to be a new postmaster. He didn't want it to be named after the old guy. So they went for Bethesda instead, which was the name of the church up the pike, which is still there. Bethesda Row used to be entirely industrial. Where the Apple store is was a Frito-Lay plant. So that picture we have over there, it's like literally a Fritos plant is where this luxury sort of strip of land is.
It is cool to look around at all the places in Bethesda and see how it's changed and the history behind it.
What we have in here is pretty much what we have. And so we're trying to meet the people, get them to tell us their stories, see if they have things they're willing to donate. I like the whole big picture of it, and so that's what we're really aiming for here.
And now we're gonna go check out Central Farm Market in Bethesda with my good friend Mitch Berliner, who actually was also my first boss.
Welcome to Strawberry Land here at Bethesda Central Farm Market.
It's the busiest market with the smartest people.
This is the best market I've ever been to. I think Bethesda's kind of unique because even though it's technically not in the district, it really feels like an extension of the city, but it's also very close to the suburbs, so it's got the best of both worlds.
So I come here every Sunday to get my little groceries. There's a lot of varieties in produce and just in a lot of things.
Actually, let me have one of both.
One of both, you got it. The market was one of our first markets that we joined as a new bakery. What's different about it is certainly that Bethesda itself brings a really different cultures itself, and then especially food-wise.
Well, the phyllo spinaco pita and the raisin walnut, chocolate chip, sweet potato powder, brown sugar, vegan, whatever.
You can really walk around and give a taste of so many different cuisines here. That's why I feel like this market is really one of the most popular.
Why is it Sexy Veggies?
Honestly, that's my wife. She thought the name would really get people in, and then the product would really sell the business.
Sexy veggie? If my veggies are sexy, that's necessary. I gotta have my veggies be sexy.
We got a whole wheat olive bread with both black and green whole olives. Well, I'm Bethesda born and raised. We have all different types of people who buy our bread. We like to have something for everyone. This is our gorgeous black Russian. It tastes like a cross between a rye and a pumpernickel. And now that we have this amazing farmers market for the last 14 years, I think that it's really enhanced the community of Bethesda even more. All different types of people come through the market. People bring their dogs and their kids.
This is the Butterfly Spirits, and this is our botanical liqueur with flavors of lavender, lemongrass, rose, chamomile, and anise.
Oh, it's great. It's delicious.
You do something to me that I can't explain.
I'm Patty Freeman, Benny Roman's mom.
Pain at the beat of my heart. We got something going on.
Bethesda, it has a very strong community feel, and I think people try to help each other out in good and bad times.
And we rely on each other.
And during COVID, when we really didn't have a chance to get together in each other's homes or restaurants, it was a chance to just be able to wave to your neighbor and say, "Hi, I miss you."
When we talk about building a great community like Bethesda, you have to start with an awesome local hardware store. So let's go take a look at Stroh-Snyder's.
Probably one of the most well-known retail establishments in Bethesda and across Montgomery County is Stroh-Snyder's Hardware. This family-owned business has been a part of the community since 1953. And for 40 of those 68 years, Jim Beckett has been the face of Stroh-Snyder's Hardware. He makes it to work every day through rain, sleet, or snow.
I think the number one thing, and even when I started here in March of '81, is customer service, is that take care of the customer and make them happy, get them what they need and just be honest with them.
Mothballs.
You'll get those on 25.
25.
But I'll show you.
Okay, you guys are wonderful.
Beckett was taught the ropes of the business by the store's founder, Walter Stroh-Snyder, who made it a point to spend time with customers on the floor every day.
All this side right here up to paint is housewares. His example was he was always on the floor. He would never be back in the office secluded. And people would come to him, and that's he made it happen. Regardless how large it gets and in complexity, our still responsibility is taking care of the customer, and word of mouth is better advertisement. You can put ads in the paper, but if you satisfy that customer, they'll come in and they'll just come back maybe for a couple of screws or something like that. So they know when they come to this store, they're going to find what they're looking for, and that's resonated from day one.
Thanks for your help.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
And that philosophy carried them all the way to the bank. Today, Stroh-Snyder's holds the title of the highest grossing independent hardware store of its size in the United States.
We have customers that shop here for 20, 25 years, 30 years. And the variety that we have here, all the products we have, people come. It's a big houseware department. And you see people, saying all the time, well, I didn't know you guys had this or had that, but we always have new things coming. This is a big thing lately that I'm surprised with, is these smokers.
They have a saying at Stroh-Snyder's, if we don't have it, you probably don't need it. Located on Arlington Road, Stroh-Snyder's is a mecca for all things hardware related. And it's also somewhat of a gathering spot where customers can get that one-on-one service they're looking for.
They knew if they need a snow shovel, they're going to find it right here. If they need salt, they're going to find it here. We're not going to run out, so we will always have a hearing for our customers. So that's, over a long time, that's very important.
There are lots of known locals who shop at Stroh-Snyder's, judges, politicians, newscasters. Beckett says he knows when someone important is in the store when he spots the Secret Service. He'll tell you sometimes you don't even know who you are serving, as was the case when he waited on Sandra Day O'Connor.
She was buying one of these to light, light candles, stuff like that. And I'm watching her. She would struggle a bit, and I showed her how to use it. And then she walked away and got in line, and they go, well, do you know who that was? And I said, I don't really know who that, I didn't. And she's a Supreme Court judge. They want to come in here just like a normal person, get what they need and leave. And so you kind of give them their space. So you learn that over time, that we're all the same,
And to be a part of a Bethesda institution like Stroh-Snyder's, well, Jim Beckett says it's an honor.
How many times you walk in a Home Depot or any big box and they would know your name, much less anything else, and you would just be a person. But here you're special. You let me know how it works, okay?
Yes. Yeah, I've known you for a couple of years now, so I'll come back to you.
All right, thank you.
Bethesda's always had a vibrant music scene, so now we're going to go join one of the members of the legendary local group, the Nighthawks.
When you think about the history of Bethesda, the first thing that comes to mind isn't usually blues music. But for Mark Wenner of the Nighthawks, so much of his time growing up in the community was all about where he could hear his favorite bands.
This town has always been an amazing musical place.
Beginning in the late 1960s, Bethesda became a hub for blues, rock, and new wave bands to make their break in the music business. At that time, Wenner had a radio by his side at all times, listening to stations like WDON, WWDC, and WHFS.
Those stations played rock and roll, but also before 1959, in 58 and 59, the musical world on radio changed dramatically. That whole phenomenon where Dick Clark and people like that started taking control. So instead of these wild hillbillies from Tennessee, you got these cute teenagers from Philadelphia. So instead of Jerry Lee Lewis and Carl Perkins, you had Fabian and Frankie Avalon.
Bethesda was also home to the Psychedelic nightclub on Cordell Avenue, where national acts like Greg Allman and Joan Jett performed, and Mick Jagger and Jimmy Buffett showed up for a show on occasion. The Nighthawks played at the deli alongside Greg Allman for a period when he lived in Bethesda. Wenner has his thoughts on why the musical talent didn't stay in the area.
Marvin Gaye went to Detroit. Roy Clark went to Bakersfield, I think, or Nashville. These guys were all somebody in the local scene, but there was no record company here to say, woo.
But Mark Wenner and the Nighthawks remain true to the community, and to this day, they are still playing gigs around the Beltway and across county lines. He has fond memories of growing up in Bethesda, where there was really no need to check in with his parents.
Oh, they never knew where we were, and they weren't worried. I mean, even the dogs just went out. The dog scratched the door, you opened the door. Yeah. And he came back, he scratched the door, you opened the door, and he came in.
He went to Somerset Elementary, and after a short, unpleasant stint at Longfellow School for the Boys, he went to BCC High School, where he was a self-described greaser.
The first day of school, I went and sat with my greaser buddies, and the gym teacher called me over and he said, you're getting in with a bad crowd. I said, well, these are my friends. Because we actually there were jacket clubs in Bethesda in those days. These were kind of fake street gangs, but nothing ever really happened. There was a lot of posturing. And I don't even remember anybody actually even hitting anybody else.
He remembers the Heiser Theater, specifically the bowling alley where the pins had to be physically set, and also how he and his friends would play in the woods that is now part of Little Falls Parkway.
And that was the first place we would go. We would build little forts and tree forts and swing on vines and jump in the creek and all that kind of, Huckleberry Finn, Tom Sawyer kind of stuff.
And although he'll tell you he may have caused a little trouble in his early years, that changed as he saw what this area had to offer.
I was intent on being a rebel with nothing really to rebel against, and kind of intent on, being in trouble for no particular reason. But I got to experience a lot of different people and a lot of different influences. And probably the biggest impact on me was access to the Howard Theater, a very important theater on the East Coast African-American musical circuit.
It was these experiences that ultimately kept Mark Wenner in the community. He says it's been a life full of enrichment.